Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the In the Paint Show, episode 176. We're going on a Monday night once again. Another late football game, but the football season's over, so I don't think we're going to be going as late no more. Chelsea, I think we kind of killing our guy, Ani, going late, and he wants to go a little earlier. So as we ring in 224, our another episode, our second one of the year, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I'm alive and well. I got energy. I know it's late for Ani. I'm on Pacific time, so I'm good to go. Ani, wake up, man. I know you took a nap before the show.
Right. I did. I'm good. Like I took a nap. I'm drinking some coffee. I'm good. Like I'm good. I got like 2 hours in me, so let's go.
Good. Yeah, we'll try to keep it short for you guys, maybe an hour. I don't want to keep Ani too long as we in our little revamped pod, a little shorter the last few months, and we like to keep it that way. Again, one thing I want to say to our listeners is if you guys have a question, please ask us. I know we need to start doing a mailbag segment. I know that's one of our goals of 224, so we need to start pumping that out on Instagram and Twitter. But if you ever have a question for any one of us three on any topic, please hit us up. We'll definitely answer some questions a week. We'd like to answer all of them, even if it's a short term. But we will get to one of the questions one of our listeners had earlier this week on Twitter. But to start off, we're going to just talk a little bit about more of an ironic than the actual game, but the University of Michigan Wolverines won the college football national championship over the Washington Huskies, 34-13. Game was played in Houston. Ani, was there any buzz like in Dallas where people were like, "Hey, I'm going to go over there," or was it just two random teams? And who cares?
It was two random teams. I didn't even know the game was in Houston until about like 2 days ago. Like I didn't know. Like I had no idea. Like I mean, they local fans is cool, but like if it was like Alabama or Georgia or something like that, you would
more of a Southern school.
Yeah.
It obviously was a big game. Conclusion of the college football season, kind of a conclusion of a whole era of college football, because obviously Washington's going to another conference. They're going to the Big Ten, right?
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. So this is just going to be a rivalry conference matchup. And for me and many people on the West Coast, kind of like ironic that a traditional Rose Bowl game was played as the final Pac-12 game. And again, UW, University of Washington, came up short 34-13. They were kind of in it. They were down a touchdown for like 3 or 4 drives in the third quarter. Chelsea, did you ever think they could catch them there? Or do you just think Michael Penix was a little off, a little rushed? They could never get over the hump, and eventually that Michigan was going to score. They couldn't hold them forever.
Yeah, I watched pretty much the entire game, and I never really felt like Washington was going to win. Right. Michael Penix had a rough night, a handful of interceptions, and just a lot of overthrown passes. And I guess that kind of just speaks to Michigan's defense and just all the pressure that it was on them. Washington had some opportunities, but the better team won, if we're being honest. My only thought that I wanted to ask you guys is, you talked about the end of the era. I'm thinking it's the end of the Jim Harbaugh era too, and that the little birdie is saying that he's going to be going to the NFL, but he got the job done before he's leaving. I'm curious what you guys think about just, he had that suspension at the beginning of the season. They had to fire a guy that was on staff because of illegal, stealing of other teams' plays. Is this an asterisk championship? Like, do you think people down the line are going to be like, "Yo, yeah, they won, but they kind of cheated"? I don't know. I definitely
no, it ain't no asterisk championship. They're going to beat them teams anyways. Like, It's anyone that says that just mad. Like, but no, it's not an asterisk championship.
And to your point, Chelsea, in college football, there's a lot of, because it's only one game, right? You don't prepare like college basketball. You prepare for the next one. Right. The teams know each other. There is, kind of behind the scenes, like you said, knowing the playbook, knowing I coach with that guy. There's way more coaches on the coaching staff than there is in college basketball. So, Ani might be like, "Yo, I remember coaching with him. This is his tendency. He likes to do this." So there's a lot of that. So it comes down to what you said, in which you kind of mentioned, as you kind of knew Michigan was win. The more physical team, the one that tackled better, the one that had the better line won. So like to Ani's point, Washington could have even known Michigan's plays. It's a matter of stop. They couldn't stop them. You know what I mean? So I don't really, to answer your question, I don't think it's going to be looked at as an asterisk or anything like that, because the better team won and the more physical team won. So
Do you guys think that, just real quick, do you think that if Georgia was maybe in the Final Four, that would have been probably the best matchup and Georgia could have easily won the championship? Or what are your thoughts on them? Or do you feel like Michigan, true champion, number one, deserved it? Could anybody have beaten them of the teams that were the last final option?
For sure. Georgia was in there. I think Michigan and Georgia have been a hell of a game. I don't think they would have won easily, but I think it would have been a really, really good game. So, yeah, I think like in teams like Alabama, Georgia could have easily got in and won it. I mean, not easily won, but, could have been in and really probably put a better game together than Washington did. But, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, maybe Georgia. I think the best team won, the team with the best defense, and the team that was definitely the stronger team tonight. The one thing I noticed, like you said, Chelsea, at the top of the show, Michael Penix, when the balls go high into the outside, overthrowing, that's usually your sign that you're being rushed or your linemen are not comfortable.
Right.
And then the second one is when you're on defense, and I know this because from high school, when you don't get off your blocks, especially in the back seven of the DBs, if you can't fight off your blocks to get your hand trip up a running back, you're going to have a long night. In the first quarter, Michigan was just blowing them off the line. It was just bad. And then they adjusted a little bit. To their credit, they did adjust in the second and third quarter, but then they couldn't score. So when it was 27 or 20-13, it was 20-13 for quite a while. And it was like, oh, come on, Washington, you got to try to tie it. Overthrown, mistake, drop ball. So then eventually Michigan was going to score. And once they went up 14, the game was in essence over. So congrats to Jim Harbaugh on that. Crew, question for you, Chelsea, I guess since you're kind of an adopted fan, is would you like to see the Raiders keep Antonio Pierce, or would you like to see them go for the big splash, pay the big money, and get Jim Harbaugh?
I mean, I think Antonio Pierce has done a hell of a job, all things considered. Like he stepped in, he changed kind of the energy in the locker room, and I think people deserve a fair shake just because of that. The transformation he was able to make, with a locker room that seemed dead and players that hated the previous coach, like he definitely showed something. So I mean, I think it would be fair to at least sign him to another year and see, and see what he can do. I feel like Jim Harbaugh is still going to end up in the NFL. I mean, I think he's going to be highly sought after, maybe the Rams. Teams that are interested in him, but I don't want to see it happen to Antonio Pierce. I thought he's done a good job so far. And I think that if he has a true season with him at the helm from the beginning, let's see at least what could happen before you get rid of him. Got
it. Ani, I don't know. You probably don't even care about those two things. You just care about the Cowboys. You just worry about the Cowboys. So I ain't even going to ask you. My opinion is I know Antonio Pierce a little bit. A good friend of mine, a coworker of mine, Mike Fletcher, who's played DB for University of Oregon, kind of was like Antonio Pierce's mentor.
Oh, okay.
Antonio Pierce had a pretty tough upbringing. I'm not sure he wanted to. If it wasn't for Mike Fletcher, he would have even played college football, and we even went on to coaching. Mike is a graduate of Paramount High School, and Antonio Pierce is a graduate of Paramount High School, which is not very far from where I grew up. My dad had worked in Paramount, and they've had great football players over the years. So it made me think of him a lot. Mike, I haven't seen him much. He was on Herm Edwards' staff at ASU for a while, and Antonio Pierce gives him a lot of credit for helping navigate his professional career. He was obviously a good football player. So that would be awesome if he did get the Raiders job, because he went quickly from a high school coach at Long Beach Poly to a college coach to now we're talking about him being the head coach of the second or third most iconic franchise in the NFL. That happened kind of fast. You know what I mean?
So do you think it'll actually happen though? If you just had to guess, is he keeping the job or no?
Knowing the Davis, and if he's anything like his daddy,
no,
they're going to try to get Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They're going to try. Now, if they don't get it, I think they're going to keep him. Because then Chelsea, why wouldn't they name him the head coach today or tomorrow if he's going to be the head coach?
Yeah, why wouldn't they have already done it? That makes sense.
Yeah, why wouldn't they've already kind of done it? You know what I mean? Especially if Jim Harbaugh is going to cost a pretty more penny, but that's pretty awesome. I had a lot of feelings about the game. Just as a fan, I have, like I said, a lot of Washington friends who either I went to college with or some who even played college football for the Dogs, and they're on my Facebook page. I know they're having a tough night, but I like Michigan. I'm a big Charles Woodson fan. You know, if you have a chance to see the short 30 for 30 on the tuck rule one where Brady, you know, when Brady was with the New England Patriots before he won his first Super Bowl, and Charles Woodson stripped them of the ball. They ruled a forward pass. That like changed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Changed everything. I remember where I was. I remember what bar I was at watching the game, and I was like, the Raiders are going to the Super Bowl for the first time in 20 years. Like, this is crazy. And I remember this big pause, and it was a snow game in Foxborough, and then like the rest were like incomplete pass. Everybody lost. We just didn't. People didn't pay attention to the tuck rule. Then we're like, what? Like, look like a forward pass. So that's a pretty interesting story. The story's kind of set at Brady's house in St. Petersburg, big house, and him and Charles Woodson hanging out for the first time in many years. But very interesting how people's lives change over that, like how things change. You know, the Raiders haven't won a Super Bowl. They eventually moved to Las Vegas, and Charles Woodson basically said, if that call isn't overturned and we go to the Super Bowl and we win the Super Bowl, I'd probably stay with the Raiders my whole career. And he went on to play with the Packers. And Tom Brady was like, yeah, bro, I wasn't, you know, Tom Brady was a little more like, hey, it is what it is. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not getting to all those Super Bowls. He goes, I probably wouldn't be the starter the next year. They would probably brought Drew Bledsoe back, and I had a fight for the starting job. So pretty interesting how one game or one play can change a lot of things. But, yeah, Charles Woodson is one of my favorite players. So, you know, congrats to Michigan. I want to give a shout out to my guy, Courtney Morgan, who's another LA guy, played football at Michigan. And he kind of was an architect for both of these. He has some ties to Washington and some ties to Michigan. So he had a big story like in the Athletic in the LA Times about how he's kind of architect and got a lot of the recruiting and knows a lot of the inside and out. And he was a lineman and great guy. And his teammate was Charles Drake, who played on that 97 Michigan team. And he died of cancer at a young age, played a little bit in the NFL and died in the early 2000s. So made me think of those two guys for the first time in a while. So shout out to Courtney Morgan and you know, Charles Drake, who's an LA guy who played for University of Michigan and now has passed away. So we'll move on from that to other note. You know, let's get to our first question. Chelsea, I know somebody was saying you had a question. Let's get to that and we'll change gears here.
Yeah, you're gonna read the question, or you want me just so our viewers know what it is, or you want me to read it? Because I can pull it up.
I'll read it. So I'm just paraphrasing because I ain't even gonna pull it up. I don't. But we're talking about our last pod, episode 175, and we talked about JuJu Watkins and UCLA basketball. And it was a great game, and her stature, and comparing her to some of the players that she will ultimately get compared to. The USC freshman who's having statistically a great season, and USC's having a good season. And one of our listeners had a question to Chelsea. Chelsea, is she a shoo-in candidate, or will she make the 2024 U.S. Olympic national team?
Yeah. So to piggyback, Chris Garcia was one of our viewers, and he was asking how good is she today, and does she have a shot at making the 2024 Olympic national team, which I think is a very great question. And I'm going to start by saying JuJu Watkins is probably one of the best true freshmen that I've been around to see. Sure. But I want to say that there's no chance in hell that she makes the 2024 Olympic national team. Wow. Like, she is extremely talented. She's exceptional. She's probably, we know that she's the best freshman in the country and arguably top 3 to 5 player period in all of women's college basketball. But just from a historical standpoint, there has only, to my knowledge, been 2 true collegiate athletes that have made the Olympic senior national team, like actually played in the Olympics. And that is Teresa Edwards, who is a 5-time Olympian, 4-time gold medalist, Hall of Famer. And then that's Cheryl Miller. So Teresa Edwards was at Georgia. Cheryl Miller was at USC. Breanna Stewart got really close because she was in the pool or the field or the selection committee coming out of college. But when the actual Olympics came and she made the 12-man roster, she was a WNBA player by then. Lisa Leslie came kind of close. She was 2 years removed from school. I think she was 24. Yeah, she was 24 when she won her first Olympic gold medal. So the answer is no. There is no true freshman that is going to be on this 2024 national team that's playing in Paris this summer. And And that's not a knock against JuJu. Don't get me wrong. I think JuJu is exceptional, but I don't want to discredit how talented the WNBA is, because even if she were up for consideration, which I'm telling you she's not, she's very much so in the USA pool. You know, we have a ton of teams, under 16, under 17, under 19. She's only 18 years old. So if she's going to be featured in any USA, it'll be on the U19 team. It wouldn't be on the senior national team. But to my point, even if she was in consideration, like, whose spot is she going to take? The WNBA is very deep at the guard spot. You have Chelsea Gray, who, barring if she's coming back from this injury that she suffered in the 2023 WNBA finals, she's a shoo-in to be the point guard of the Olympic team. You know, so that's a lock. You know, very talented guards, Jewel Lloyd, Enrique. Like, I just wouldn't see her even fitting in there, because there's just too many people that she would have to beat out. And I can't see her doing that at this point in her career. So with that being said, she's 100% going to be, you know, in consideration and in the field when her time comes later on in her collegiate career, along with a handful of other freshmen. This is the most talented women's basketball class that I have, you know, been around for. You know, I've been younger. We have a lot of greats in WNBA, so I'm not downplaying, but I'm saying I am 33 years old. You know, collectively, since I've been playing, this freshman class featuring JuJu Watkins, Hannah Hidalgo out of Notre Dame, Malaysia Fulwale out of South Carolina, it is exceptional, and one of the best classes that we've had in an absolutely long time. So those names in particular are going to definitely be in the mix when the time comes. But there is no freshman that is going to be taking anybody's spot a few months from now when we get ready to head to Paris for the 2024 Olympics. But good question, Chris. I appreciate that. That was a good question.
Got it.
Any thoughts? What do you guys agree? What do you guys think?
I got a thought. I'll let Ani go.
I would hear it.
Nah, like y'all would think I'm gonna say let her in, and like I would say that, but like I'll be lying. Like, nah, like Joe said, there's a lot of depth of talent in WNBA, especially with the guard play. It would just be, if she were to make the team, it wouldn't be because she's better than those women. It just be more so for a look. So like, nah, she's not ready for that. Like she's not ready for that. But you know, her time will come. But I think if she were to get to that, it would be more of a look than, like, I hate to say, then that she deserves to be there, that she's outplayed those women. So not for me.
Got it. I have two comments for me. Is her NIL and she's already signed as a, you know, to an agency. They should already be putting in play to market her for the 2028 Olympics in LA. Like, she should be one of the darlings. Like, make the team. Again, I don't know how good she'll be on the team, but they should be pushing, like, yo, she needs to be on that team. We need to market her. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
A hometown girl from Watts, you know, it's like, she went to Sierra Canyon. Like, that's where it's all out. Like, I mean, Chris, you know, yeah, it'd be cool to see her in 24, but again, she ain't gonna play much. Even if she come close, she'd be like Bill Walton playing on the 1970 senior national team as a high school senior, like, just as a throw-in, you know. So it's like,
just for a look.
Yeah, for a look. So that, and back to your point of how great she is. Again, competition's getting better all the time. So, and by 220th, competition will be probably better. There might be a girl in high school right now who's an 8th or 9th grader who we might be talking about on episode 400 then. You know what I mean? So, but back to the 1984 Olympics, Cheryl Miller. I'm looking at this real quick. United States won the gold, 6-0. Second most points, Cheryl Miller. Kim Hwa-sung of South Korea scored 101. Cheryl Miller scored 99. Cheryl Miller averaged 16.5 points. Total rebounds, leader, Cheryl Miller. 7 rebounds a game. Steals, number 1, Cheryl Miller. 19 steals.
Like, that's a cheat code, though. Like, that ain't even fair.
And she was a sophomore in college at SC. You know,
but she's widely recognized as the greatest women's basketball player of all time, and she played 1 second in the WNBA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's a go.
Just a guy. Imagine how good she was. So I've seen, you know, highlights of her in high school. I was a little too young to see her in high school, but I saw her at the Olympics and just a little later, and later at SC when again she had 2 more years of college ball after the '84 Olympics, and it's like she's nastier than JuJu Watkins. She's bigger than JuJu Watkins. She's a better rebounder than JuJu Watkins. Like again, I think it's a current thing where like people get excited about the new and the next, but like let's not forget, like you said, Teresa Edwards. I think Teresa Edwards was healthy and even played way more. I remember Teresa Edwards and Katrina McClain on a lot of U.S. teams, maybe even up to '92 in Atlanta.
Teresa Edwards had played on 5 Olympic teams. She was the youngest Olympian ever, I believe, at 20 years old, and she was also the oldest at Lord knows how. 36 or something like that. Like, so that's elite company. And what I really respect about Chris's question, and not so much respect, but what I like about it is that these girls are getting people talking, even if they are a prisoner of the moment. Caitlin Clark, JuJu Watkins, people are tuning into women's basketball because of what they see, and these are exciting players to watch. So I really enjoy that Chris is taking an interest in it, and I hope that other people are paying attention because JuJu Watson is going to be a force, and she's going to be, she's already in elite company with what she's doing at USC, and she's going to continue to do so. I think that's going to carry on into her professional career as well. So we'll be talking about her for a long time. And I don't want to say that 2028 is unrealistic. I think that's a lot more realistic than 2024 in Paris. So you never know. We might be revisiting this.
Yeah, that'd be awesome and interesting. I'm just saying from the marketing standpoint, that would be the goal. If I'm her and her team, like we need to get her on that team. You know what I mean? In LA, that should be on our bucket list. Us 3 should go to the women's and our men's medal round and watch some of those games. Like when are we going to get a chance to do it again? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we need to go.
I know.
I'll be there. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. LA. We'll see. I mean, that's 4 years, but it's going to go by fast.
That'd be easy for us to do. We should do it. Definitely. That's going to be on our list.
For sure. So that'll be awesome. That'll be on our bucket list. But I guess switching gears to our bucket list is a bunch of high school, and obviously season's going by, and we have 3 main topics to talk about, which is kind of mid-season here. We're kind of at the midway point, Ani, and obviously there's more weeks. We're going to have the Fab 50 each week now, so make sure to go to ballislife.com. I guess we want to talk about mid-season. We want to talk about the new Fab 50 and then like what we got coming up. So I'll let you go ahead and take it, Chelsea.
Yeah, let's get into mid-season All-Americans. We talked about in the last couple pods, just, us being at so many events, seeing so many players. So I'm just very curious of who you guys would highlight in this moment if we talked about mid-season All-Americans from your guys' opinion. So I'll start with you, Ronnie. Give me a couple names. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, on my first team, let's just go like a team of 5 right now. And I don't know, maybe I'll break it down.
You got 5 on you?
Yeah.
We'll go 5. All right, go ahead.
We got 10.
Yeah, we got 10, but I'll go for the first 5. We'll go 5, then maybe we'll go back and we'll debate a little bit. So I got, even though we've kind of given him a hard time, we're giving this dude a hard time. I got Cam Boozer. Okay. I ain't knocking him. Again, is he going to be the national player of the year? I don't know. That's a different story, but I'll take him as one of my players. Trey Johnson, I'll take him at the bottom at 2. Cooper Flagg will be kind of like the jack of all trades. Dylan Harper, I'm taking as one of my guards. Mm-hmm. And then my 5th guy, I want to kind of do something a little different because I want to save a kid from Georgia for Ani. So
okay.
A kid from New
York. I was about to say, you're missing somebody. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little different. Let me think. Let me look for a younger guy, maybe. Junior. I'll take not AJ. I'll take our guy from Huntington Prep. I'll take him, Darren Peterson. So I'll take those. I'll go a little different. I don't want to, because I'm going first, so I'm kind of cheating on Ani. You know what I mean?
No, you go.
Yeah. So that's my 5. So Boozer, Trey Johnson, Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, and Darren Peterson.
Okay, I think 4 of those 5 are kind of expected, but that's good. I like that list. I would have to agree with it. I'm big on Trey Johnson. We talked a little bit about him. And I will say from my standpoint, like, you guys have watched these guys a lot more than I have. I'm finally getting the opportunity to get out there. I've seen most of these players at least once. So I really just have that one glimpse of what I think about them. And when I saw Trey Johnson in Las Vegas, he was exceptional. And so was Cooper Flagg. So definitely deserving. But Ani, let's hear, because I know who you're going to add. And I agree. I watched this kid on TV and he's like that.
Yeah, my 5, BJ Edgecombe. Like I told y'all, in 224, I feel very comfortable with the top 4. That's BJ Edgecombe, Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, and Ace Bailey.
Yep, Ace.
Got it.
Ace Bailey's just been phenomenal. I mean, has a real chance of being an NBA All-Star one day. I think all 4 of these guys can be exceptional pros, be really good pros. And are having really good seasons. My 5th, I had Trey Johnson. And I mean, that's, it sounds like kind of normal, but like that'd be my 5th. I had Darren Harris from Paul to 6, who's doing a really good job with that group. They almost beat Montverde. They were in a close one, Montverde. They beat Link. I have Trey Johnson, but I got Darren Harris, who's going to do kind of like 5B or number 6. So yeah, that's my 5. But I think
no Cam Boozer for you.
Not my top 5,
no. Okay.
Good. That's why I didn't pick Ace Bailey. Not because I couldn't pick him, because I wanted Ani to make his point about him. He's obviously playing like an All-American. And to follow up on mine, I just think, Dylan, you can't knock him. They've won some big games. They're having a great season, and their season's barely getting started. Out in New Jersey, they play a little later. And whereas other people are playing 10 games already, going down to City of Palms, that's like their first game. You know what I mean? And they did really well. So, I want to give him some kudos. I like Darren Peterson. Again, he's a little off the radar, Ani, at Huntington Prep. And people are not talking about Huntington Prep that much. They're taking some losses. But I know he's a talent. And he's a talent and a half. And I want to give him some kudos there. As a guy who played good. Obviously, we don't have to say much about Trey Johnson too much. And then, I wanted shout out as we go to our second team. I want to shout out on the second 5 would be, again, if he's on another team, he might be a National Player of the Year running. He only missed 5 or 6 shots down at City of Palms. Is our guy from Montverde, Derek Queen. So I
have him on there.
I kind of want to point him out. Like, yo, he can't be like. I get it that he's on a team that's loaded and that type of thing, but man, he's having one hell of a season. I don't know how you knock that. And then another guy who's not having a great team-wise, kind of like Darren Peterson, would be Flory Budunga. I don't want to forget about him either. We talked about him more in the summer. We haven't mentioned him much in a few months. Kokomo, Indiana, lefty guy who could just defend and play well. And his team's doing okay. They're not doing great. Maybe they'll turn it around in the playoffs. So I would add Edgecombe as well, because Lehigh is, number 2 team, or some people think they're the 3rd best team, but they're number 2. And then I'll add Tunde Yusuf from California, from the Central Valley. Tunde is a hell of a player. He just lost a game to Braden Burries. It was kind of a 225 showdown. They lost on the last second shot by Burries. Burries hit a great shot, but Tunde's just a hell of a individual talent. 6'5", strong arm. Basically, Ani, he's Anthony Edwards with the same body without the explosive, like the verticality.
The
body. Without the vertical pop, that type of movement, that type of shoulders, that type of drive. Again, he's got to refine his game a little bit more. Anthony Edwards probably a little more smoother at the same age, but I'm not saying he's going to be the next Anthony Edwards, but he looks like that.
From a body type, for sure.
For a body type, right? 6'5", 6'6", high shoulders, big arms, strong driving. So, and he is probably just as good a jumper at the same age, junior year. Probably just as good a jumper, maybe even a little better. So, that would be my second 5. Chelsea would be VJ Edgecombe, Derek Queen, Flory Budunga, Tunde, and Darren Harris. I'll go with him because, again, I'm on the team tip. I like to, reward guys who play on the top teams and have the top records. So those would be my 5 guys.
Yeah, I'm high on Derek Queen too, so I'm glad that you have him on the list. He does what I wish Cam Boozer would do more. When I watched Derek Queen, that boy was around the basket, great hands, great feel, just bullying people. Like, you know, it was refreshing to see a post player that wanted to be a post and like wanted to play under the basket. So Derek Queen, excellent choice. Ani, round out your top 10. You have 5 more names?
Yeah. So I got Darren, a 6. AJ Dybansta. No, he's looking up and down, but box score stats been good. He's been playing well. He's been leading that squad. It was close between him and Tyron Stokes because like they've both been really good. But I'll give AJ the edge. I'll put Cam Boozer. Then that's 6, 7, 8. Derek Queen is 9 and 10. You know what? I'm gonna go with. I'm surprised Ronnie didn't say this. J-Crowe.
J-Crowe.
J-Crowe 226. Straight bucket.
He was hooping the other day, right?
I'm gonna put him 10. Just he putting video game numbers up. Video game numbers up. I'm gonna give him 10. I'm gonna put 226 in there.
Yeah, those highlights were crazy. You got him over. You like him better than Elijah Arenas?
Not long term.
Okay, but in this moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll allow it.
I would agree with that. In this moment, he's way ahead of Elijah right now.
Right.
But down the line, we'll see how that goes again. So run those 5 again, Ani.
Darren Harris, AJ. My bad.
AJ didn't ask him.
AJ Dybansta, Cam Boozer, Derek Queen, J-Crowe.
Wow, that's great.
You know what? I'm sorry. Take Crow out. No. I messed up. I apologize to this cat. I apologize.
Wow.
Take Crow out. It got to be Boogie Flam.
Yeah.
Kentucky commit.
Yeah, you got to put Boogie's. You got to put Boogie in there, bro.
Boogie's rocking.
Yeah, you got to put Boogie. I can't put Crow for Boogie. I'm sorry, Crow. Like you're almost in there. Like I had your name in there, but nah.
But Boogie. Even just shouting them out, that's like a top 10 All-American. That's
he's in the combo for me. But like Boogie's been on another tear. Like
we don't talk about Boogie that much.
He's All-American. I know the rankings don't have him where he probably will be at the end.
Yeah.
But you mean to tell me like how many point guards are better than him in the country? Like
he's a bad boy.
That's a bad boy. Yeah. He's a top 10 to 15 player in that class. Maybe higher. Like he's really
forget all the rest of the games in the regular season, on it. I want to see Desert Mountain versus Linwood just to see Caden House versus Jake.
Yo, I will fly just to watch one game and watch that game. Watch that House, the Caden, is it?
Yeah,
Caden. No, there's 2. And then Crow just shoot every shot. I don't care. Like I don't want anyone else to shoot the ball. I just want them 2 of the other House brother just to shoot all the shots. That's what I'm there for.
Yeah. Shout out to those guys. 226. That's turning out to be a great class, as we've said many, many, many times. So that's funny. Shout out to J-Crowe and his father, Jason Crowe Sr., who I had a chance to watch in high school, and he worked really hard on his craft. Sometimes we talk about a group of us. We get on a group chat and we talk about basically guys that we watched growing up and who's better and all that. And he's very proud of like what he was able to accomplish because he wasn't a star in high school, but he crafted his way. He went to junior college, LA Trade Tech, and he played at Cal State Northridge. And he crafted on a long pro career. People kind of knew a little about him. I think mainly when Paul Pierce got inducted to the Hall of Fame, Paul Pierce talked about it being his best friend and a lot of things he's doing. So I think maybe now people are going to know him as J-Crowe 2's father, but he had a good career. You like to see guys like that don't have a lot of fanfare that do well. And obviously his son, he's figuring it out for his son. Ani, of those guys, what is it, that stands out about your 10? Is it just they're the best and playing the best so far as we go here to mid-January almost? Or is it, they're top teams and they're doing well? Or is it something about what separates them from a lot of other good guys we didn't mention?
I think it's just the combination. Their teams are really winning. and the talent and they're producing. Obviously we all know about AJ and Cam, but and I know we can be very hard on them because the expectations are very high, but we still look and they're putting up 20 and 10 and 5, in a game. Now, it may not be as efficient. It may not look in a way that we normally see, but those guys are still leading national ranked teams to victories, still putting up good stats. So, I think is for all those teams as a combination of those teams are really winning at a high level, and they're the leaders of those teams. Darren, obviously, you got Ben Hammond, Paul the Six is fairly balanced, but I think at the end of the day, they really do look at Darren Harris as the go-to guy at the end of the day to produce offense. So I just think with all those guys, those are the leaders. Obviously, Montverde is a different case. That's just a different beast, but
just a different beast.
Eric Queen and Coop are the two best offensive guys and most productive guys, especially Coop on the defensive end as well. So I just think that's what just separates them. But I think after 8, if you were to name off 5 more guys, or 10 more guys after 8, 19 or 20 guys, the difference between 9 and 20 isn't that far off.
No,
I think it's not much of a variance. I think once you get to 8, that's when you start seeing a bigger gap.
No doubt. And I like your picks. And Chelsea, I'm going to ask you something since you're asking us about these players. And I just want to get your initial reaction because, like you say, you're more a little bit on the outside, and you're watching them. You're getting to know more about them.
Chelsea's getting in now.
Yeah, I know. I should have reached out by a few more months. She's gonna be no more. I'm not gonna mention it like this in this tone, but I wanted to get your initial reaction. Were you kind of surprised that you heard that maybe AJ Dybansta might be going to the G League next year, just based on what we've heard, what we've seen of the G League, how some of the they're what we've known the last 2 years, and the players have some ups and downs. When you hear that, what's the initial reaction to that statement, whether it's true or not?
I'm not surprised. I'm just not a fan in general of the G League route. It used to be just a money thing, but now with NIL, you can get money, going to college. And I just think that the kids that have the opportunity to experience college are going to fare better long term. So I'm not surprised because at the end of the day, all these guys are pretty much trying to get to the league. They're going to take whatever route they feel can get them there the quickest. And I do think there's definitely positives to playing in the G League Ignite. Just that pro experience, playing against pro guys every night. Obviously, the caliber of people that you play against in the G League is going to be significantly better than what you're dealing with in college. But I'm just not a super fan of it. And I know it's worked out for many people. And me not being a fan does not mean that it's not going to work out for that kid. But I just think college is better. I really think that the college route, especially now that you can get paid, just kind of going through, the process to get to the NBA, which I know is the ultimate goal. But I think the college route is better.
I mean, for him, the way he plays, I can see why he would really entertain the G League.
More ISO, more.
ISO, he
style of play.
He's trying to become more of playmaker, isolation score, secondary, tertiary ball handler. There's probably only a few colleges that he will be able to do that with. The thing with the G League, this my bad, y'all. This weather's been off. It doesn't look great, but you can't say Ron Holland hasn't benefited, even though people say draft stock is down. He hasn't benefited playing more on the ball with the G League. The way Ron is playing, would he have been able to have that much freedom in college?
Yeah, probably not.
For some guys, AJ is the number 1 player in 225, so can't say he wouldn't get that. And I think he's shown that he can create and score. But I think he's probably entertaining it because, they're going to give those guys more freedom. It's really not about winning or losing when it comes to Ignite. It's more about kind of playing more into your professional prototype. So if you're someone that wants to kind of get into that and feel like you can't find a school that will allow you to do those things, that the Ignite makes sense if the opportunity arises. But I'm with you, Chelsea, as far as like, if it's a money thing, then I don't think you need to go to Ignite because of money. Like, I think it needs to be going to Ignite because the way I want to play and the way I envision I am at the next level, the Ignite is going to allow me to do those things. And they've shown they will. Now, you may look bad or you may look good doing that, but they'll at least allow you to do those things. Like, Ron wouldn't shoot nowhere near as many threes in college that he does. Like, you know, Modest would probably been the same, but like even some of the other guys, like in the past, like Jaden Hardy, even when he was there, he shot a lot of threes. Like I know he's known as a shooter, but like in college, like he wouldn't gotten that much freedom to shoot as many contested shots and stuff. And did his percentages look bad? Yes, but he was allowed to do those things. I think that's kind of more what players are thinking about more so than just the financial part. I mean, the financial part is important, but like you're going to get that with NIL too, like you said. But I think it's just more the freedom to play into your prototype.
I think that's a fair point. And actually, I really agree with that because I watched Ron Holland his first G-League game and I didn't like it. But I've seen him recently and he's improved. Right. So maybe the ability to shoot 20 what the hell shots and work your way through, you know, some of your mistakes does, you know, benefit. So I 100% could see that. And I think it's a very fair point. I'm just saying, speaking from a totality standpoint, like kids go to school, you're gonna get to the league. If you're supposed to be there, you're gonna get to the league.
That's true.
Regardless. That's it. That's all I'm saying. If you belong there, they'll find you. That's my dad's famous quote is if you're good, they'll find you.
Yes.
So
I only played AAU in the last summer.
That's true. Yeah, see, my dad was crazy, but hey, it still worked out. I was a high level recruit and I only played one summer, 5 tournaments. See?
There you go, Ani. So I just wanted to get your guys' reaction, you know, like because I hear that, I saw that coming out. I'm like, ooh,
I heard that.
You know, yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, middle of the season. But we're still in the middle of the season, so he's got to concentrate. You know, he's got a lot of things going on.
Didn't he take a visit to a game or something like that? I think
yeah, he went to a game, or he was there, or he was hanging out. You know, seeing what was going on.
So
okay,
be up in the air.
Yeah, and a kid from Brockton. Yeah, you know, Ani, a kid from Brockton, Massachusetts. You know, he's not going to go to a public school in Massachusetts,
right?
Well, like, does his whole dynamic change if he's from like Dallas or LA, like, or is it just he's just that talented? It is what it is, or does the dynamic change if he's from somewhere else?
The dynamic change if he was shorter.
Okay.
I don't think it matters. Like a kid like him, the way he plays, I don't think it matters, bro.
Yeah, very interesting because you know, again, when you have the New England prep schools and any really good high school player for the last 30 to 40 years in Boston, that'd be New Haven, Brockton, they all go prep. Like none of them play for the local school. That's just the Nerlens Noel. We can go all the Jimmy Walker, Jalen Rose's dad. Like we can go down the line. You know, like they all just. I don't know if it's the weather. I don't know if it's just the ball. You know, again, New Haven public schools used to be really good. It's just a very interesting dynamic for me. Again, I know I'm going a little off the subject, but
no, that's real.
In the last 20 to 30 years, they all go prep. So I'm just wondering, you know, if that plays a role, but it doesn't seem like it does.
Yeah,
he's just a good player.
Not today. Not today.
He's just a good player. You know what I mean? So okay, that's great.
Then we wrap that up. Let's go and let's talk about teams now. So you guys gave midseason All-Americans. Let's talk some teams. You know, we did our Fab 50 rankings in 2023. So now in 2024, we have some shakeups. We've had some teams that have entered, teams that have exited. So Ronnie, talk to us about the updated Fab 50 rankings that you recently put out.
Sure. We got the first update for 2024, you know, the calendar year, obviously not the season. And boy, it's 15 new teams. That's a lot. That's the most I can remember in a long time, maybe 15 years, maybe 20 years. in the format that I do it at. And I'll talk with Ani a little bit, maybe why, but obviously a lot of tournaments. I just think it goes to play a tough schedule.
Yeah.
Play, you got to get out and play. You're not going to just be 21-0, 22-0, 23-0, 24-0. That those days are kind of over. Except only thing that's different is like Texas. Once those teams get to like 20-0, they've played some good teams. So shout out to those guys again, because they don't leave too much. But Plano East is 22-0, up to 13 Ani. Up from 23, up 10 spots. Then we got right behind them Stony Point, 5-point loss to Plano East, 21-1. They're 16. And then those are the two teams that are kind of leading the pack. Again, you go to ballislife.com. It should be the latest story. Click on the Fab 50 link and tab, and you can look at them. Obviously, the question I have for you, Ani, again, we can go back and forth, and I have two things we should talk about, and we kind of mentioned it in the last pod, but Plano East and Stony Point, are they going to be there at the end, or is it going to be a Brandon? Is it going to be Lake Travis coming back from, having our guy Greer recover from his injury? Who is it going to be? Or is it Beaumont United have the experience, they're going to get there again? What's your take there?
I don't think either will be as highly ranked at the end.
At the end, they just have the good record.
I got to see, to me, I'm more believing of Stony Point than I am Plano East.
Okay.
Plano East they just been playing together so long.
Yeah, they're just a good team.
But they haven't made like a crazy deep playoff run. I think when you get to that, I think go against like these high major dudes and there's teams that kind of peak at that right time. Like, Brennan's played a pretty tough schedule. I'm not saying Plano East hasn't. Like, I think Plano East and Stony Point have.
Sure.
But I know like a Brennan or a Beaumont United when they peak, they got high major dudes. Like Stony Point. Josiah Mosley is, in my opinion, the best player in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So like that's why I feel like Stony Point, if anybody has a real shot at it, because at the end of the day, you can throw it to your high major forward. And he gonna win you those playoffs games. It's just when you get to those playoffs in Texas, it's just a whole different beast.
Yeah.
Plano East is talented. They play so well together, but how are they going to react when they're undefeated and you're in a 1 to 2 possession game in the playoffs and you ain't never been there before? Those are the questions I have for them. But I would say Stony Point, I can see that. But I think like Brendan, I think Beaumont United, I think there's probably teams I'm not even really mentioning that if they peak during that time, somebody like these other teams are going to have a really hard time.
Okay. And they're all classics, UIL Class 6A. So just in case people are wondering.
Right.
Again, and I will say this about Plano East. Yeah, they're up to 13. But once you get to move up from there, I don't care if you keep going 23, 24, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's going to be hard because they haven't played the Montverde, the Lehigh, the Columbus, the Harvard Westlake. So Harvard Westlake checks in at 10. Prolific is 9. Columbus is 8. Again, Chelsea saw that game when easily Harvard Westlake could have won.
Yeah.
Don Bosco played with your boy Dylan Harper, beat Columbus. They're 7.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick School, who beat Don Bosco. Patrick School is a team people don't know much
about. They came down to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Patrick School only has 1 loss to a New England prep school, which is the NEPSAC league. So you got to give Patrick School. I don't know too much about them, but you got to give base right now. 6. Wasatch is back to playing. They only have losses to Dream City and Montverde. And basically all the top 5 teams have lost to Montverde. So that would be 5 Wasatch, Link 4, Paul the 6, 69-62, Long Island number 2, and that score was 73-59. So that's my second question, Ani. I just kept Long Island 2nd, left Paul the 3rd, Paul the 6th 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
They played them maybe a little closer in that City of Palm semifinal, but does it matter who's 2 or 3? I mean, we know they're 2 and 3, but like do you have a strong opinion on who's 2 and 3, or is that fine? Just leave it. Lehigh started fast, better. They went to the final. Paul the Six happened to be on their side, Montverde side of the bracket. They lost. What's your take there? Or do you see any differences? Or
yeah, I mean, it can be it can be interchangeable. I think.
Okay.
I have Lehigh 2, and then now I have Paul the 6-3. I think the real certain is like those are the top 3 teams.
Okay.
Is Lehigh and Paul the 6. If you have a legitimate argument to say Paul the 6, but I think Lehigh. Man, I just think Lehigh's a little bit deeper. Just a better team right now. You gotta, yeah. I would just say like, I think the only thing for certain is that's the top 3. Okay. And you could argue either way who's 2 or 3. It doesn't matter. You ain't won. So you want me
not one.
Second loser. You let me know. You want me the first and second loser.
Yeah. It's like correct. I get it. You're just
can anybody beat Mount Verde? Do you guys believe that they're gonna go all the way through, or
I think Lehigh can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, they'll get that to be their second crack at them. That will be February 16th. When they do play a league game, because again, that first matchup was in City of Palm, so it's not EYBLS. I'm saying it wrong.
EYBL Scholastic.
EYBLS. I just say the S. I don't leave it at the L. Yeah, EYBL Scholastic. So yeah, that's I think that's why I just left it, and I explained that when you go to read the write-ups and look at the full list is. I said, hey, Paul the Six still got to get through all those Catholic League games in Washington. Lehigh still has to try to knock down Montverde in their league. And maybe, again, would give each team one loss in the league if they did win. So, so it's going to be kind of resolved on the court. We can talk about it all night, but it's going to be resolved on the court, I think, eventually. So 100%. That will be fine. Chelsea, I don't know if you have any other question. I just want people to obviously go check it out. But if you have any other question about the list or anything you want me to mention.
No, list is posted on ballislife.com. So, hopefully our viewers will go check out the updated list. And, just speaking of the rankings and the shakeup, there's more basketball to be played. We know Hoophall is coming up. Ani was going to go, may not go. Ronnie might go, may not go. But either way, these games are going to be played. So let's just end today's pod with just talking about Hoophall, kind of key matchups. Let's start with that. Do any of you guys have? I know you have the list. We sent it to each other earlier, but I'll start with you this time, Ani. Give me a key matchup in Hoophall that you are excited about.
Don Bosco Prep and our Bishop Stepanek. I think you have the 2 best point guards in the country. The 2 best point guards in the country, and Boogie Flan and Dylan Harper going at each other. It'll be a really good game. Regardless of the outcome, I still think Dylan Harper is better. I mean,
better prospect. Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a fantastic game against 2 5-star point guards.
Nice. I look forward to that one too. What about you, Ronnie?
I'm looking forward to see the winner. Basically the winner who comes out of the Bass Pro in Springfield, Missouri. So let's say that's McEachern or it's Paul the Sixth. Both of them have a game Monday. So they play Saturday night. Let's just say they're in the championship game of Bass Pro in Missouri. So then they fly on Sunday. And then they play Monday. So on Monday, Harvard Westlake plays McEachern on that first boys game.
Okay.
That basically would be 11 a.m. that morning, Monday on TV. We could all watch it. And then Paul the Sixth plays Columbus. So both are tough matchups. I don't think Columbus is much better than Harvard Westlake. As you know, Chelsea, they're both about the same.
Yeah, even.
In terms of team matchup.
Yeah.
And Paul the Sixth is, if they win that tournament, then I would say Paul the Sixth versus Columbus. If McEachern wins that tournament, then I'm saying Harvard Westlake versus McEachern. Because you got to come back and win. You can't have a letdown. Right. It's cold, travel. It's Ani, you go. Ani, you go to. I'll just chill, watch. It's too cold for me. I'm a California baby.
I can't go out there. It's too cold for me,
dog, it's minus 5 degrees. I'm cool.
Yeah, man, that ain't meant for me, man.
So I cheated a little bit, Chelsea. So I'll say those 2 games based on who wins Bass Pro Shops on Saturday.
Okay.
Because it's with St. John Bosco's going to be there, and then the local team is going to be there as well, which is a great team, and maybe they can do something. They're still undefeated, and it's kind of local. Edmond North from Oklahoma, again in the region. They're not local. They're not from Missouri, but Edmond, Oklahoma comes in at 25. McEachern comes in at 27. They've lost to Grayson of Georgia, who's number 20, and they've lost to Columbus already, and they lost to Don Bosco Prep. So McEachern's good, Ani. Those are 3 good losses.
Yeah.
But if they can win that Bass Pro and then go down and get with Harvard Westlake, now we're talking about them back in the top 10.
Right.
Okay. Again, they'd be right there with Columbus. So then if Paul VI runs through that tournament, let's say Paul VI is just better than McEachern, better than Bosco, better than Edmond North or any other team that's in the field, then that becomes a big game versus Columbus. They can't have a letdown, And then again, how about if, like Chelsea said, how about if Boozer just like, I'm going inside, I'm going to kill these dudes, like
easy. If he does that, they win easy. I'm telling you,
they can win that game easily. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ain't going to be no easy game. So that's a hell of a matchup. I would say those 2 matchups. I cheated a little bit. Those are two great matchups. And Columbus has a game on Saturday, Ani. I don't know whether it don't matter. I don't think whether they lose or win rankings rise because Columbus plays Long Island Saturday. So again, now Boozer, how if Boozer dominates both those games?
Right.
Or maybe how if they lose? Then now you're going back to what we said. He don't play inside enough. He's not having his dominant season. A lot matters. I mean, matters. The games matter. So there's a lot of interesting angles, I should say, story angles, even more than what happens. I think it's the story angles, and it's a great event. No doubt about it. As you said, it's a lot comes out of it, and a lot of good matchups. But those kind of teams that either came over from Bass Pro or played twice kind of interest me the most.
Right.
Okay, give me an early Thursday matchup. That's when the event starts. You guys gave me Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Like, the event starts January 11th. I want a low-key team that maybe we don't talk about much. Yeah, give me a matchup on Thursday that you guys might be looking forward to watching.
I have nothing I look forward to.
Ronnie's gonna be watching Bass Pro.
You got to show some other teams some love. What about you, Ronnie? Do you see any game that you might tune into on Thursday?
Yeah. If I'm gonna look on Thursday, I might want to watch Northwest Catholic a little bit. They always play on that third from Connecticut. It's a more of a local, and then Friday's when it starts the big matchups. So Friday, boys, again, Mater Dei plays Catholic Memorial from Massachusetts. And then I'm really just seeing Oak Hill. Oak Hill's quietly doing good. I didn't give him much love in the preseason. And now Oak Hill only has 1 loss. And they have some tough conference games coming up. Oak Hill is in at number 23 this week. They only have 1 loss to Long Island Lutheran, who's beating a lot of good teams. So Oak Hill on Friday gets its chance at Montverde. Do I think they're going to win? No, maybe not. But I think it's a good. Oak Hill has to do good this weekend. Yeah, Oak Hill has to do good this weekend to kind of keep the momentum going because they started well. So Oak Hill, Montverde, I'm looking forward to on Friday the 12th, Chelsea.
Okay. All right, I'll allow it. Shout out to, what'd you say, Northwest Catholic from Connecticut? Yeah. Shout out to those boys. Okay, I'm going to watch them on Thursday, and then I'm going to watch all the big games Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
There's a lot of them.
I'll watch the games Friday.
Ani's a big.
Okay, so let's just end with, let's keep it going with Hoophall, but let's just end with key players. I know we talked a lot about a lot of players throughout the show, but if you guys can give me one player that you're most excited to watch and one sleeper player. I don't want it to be somebody that we've already discussed. Give me one sleeper player in the tournament and one key player that you're excited to watch. Okay, who's going to go first?
Ani can go first.
Okay. Sleeper that we have not discussed, not a top highly ranked.
I will go. My sleeper will be. The guard that's at Oak Hill. Oh man, what's his name? I really like him. I was writing about him. Hold on. The Oak Hill backcourt. Just the Oak Hill backcourt. I don't think they get enough love for how good they've been so far. Like Ronnie said, they're 13-1. So that's Christian Anderson and Caden Magwood.
Okay.
I would say those are my two guys to watch, especially going against Montverde.
Okay. Ronnie?
I would say we haven't talked about him in a long time since Pangos. Archbishop Wood versus Corona Centennial on Saturday afternoon. Jalil Bathia.
Oh yeah.
He I'm getting some calls from Littell and some of the boys from Philly. They're like, man, we don't know, Pangos and NBA players, and now Ani, it's like borderline McDonald's. We get into sports. So that's going to be his last basically shot. Viewing in front of some of the voters. He's got to have the ball in that game. Yeah. I mean, win or lose, he's going to have the ball again. Eric Freeney, UCLA bound Eric Freeney's on the other team. Carter Bryant's on the other team, who's kind of like, is he going to get in McDonald's? So that Wood game versus Centennial will be very big from that standpoint. Again, we haven't talked much about Jalil Bathia this, fall and winter, and he's the 6'4" guard, from Archbishop Wood. He has to play good. So he's kind of not really a sleeper in essence, but he's a sleeper in terms of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not a sleeper player. But again, it goes to what you're saying, guys we haven't talked about.
All right, I'll allow that. All right, so let's end with key player to watch. Just give me one, and it could be the obvious player. Who do you think is going to play the best in hoop ball this weekend?
Just a player, my key player that I just want to keep watching, Isaiah Evans from North Mecklenburg.
Okay.
I think he's going to Duke, right? I believe.
Yeah,
6'7" guard, bucket getter, a lot of bravado, tough. Gonna let you know he dropping 30 on you. Played good at City of Palms. I know he really kind of shoulders a lot of the offensive load for that team. I'd say Isaiah Evans. That's just a player that he's one of the most exciting players to watch in the country.
Okay. Ronnie?
And for me, I think he's going to kind of solidify. Again, he's not having a team-wise their best season yet, but Hudson Catholic's Pettiford. I just forgot his first name right now.
Tahat
Pettiford.
Oh, that's another fun one.
Yeah, he's a good guy, a good player. And I think he's going to show that he's in that upper echelon. They play, as I'm looking at the schedule, Gonzaga of DC on Sunday morning. Hudson Catholic's good team, maybe not a great team, but he's a really talented guard, and I think he's going to show well. Again, I kind of cheated on Chelsea. I didn't want to mention Boozer or anybody.
I like when we talk about new players.
Yeah, I wanted to mention a new player because there's so much of the nation's top players are going to be there, and I wanted to mention him, and I also wanted to mention McEachern, if that's Ace Bailey, right?
Right.
Ani, our guy Nicholas Kamenia, he did a hell of a job on Tunday from St. Joseph's in last year's state title game. He did a good job on Cameron Boozer, Chelsea's mentions. So if he does a good job on Ace Bailey and they win, they win that game, then we need to start giving that dude more shine. Maybe we'll have him on the pod toward the end of the season or something. Because some people don't like him as a national dude. He's a top 40, 50 guy easily, 100%. I think, Connie.
So it's top 50 player, 100%.
Yeah, if he's one of the best defenders in the country.
If he shuts down Ace, then he's invited to the pod. Nick, you hear this pod, you shut down Ace Bailey, you invited.
Yeah, I mean, the dude did a hell of a job on Sunday last year's title game. He did a hell of a job. He's done other good jobs, but those are three great players we're talking about. So, again, if he kept them in the game against, his defense helped them stay in the game at the end against Columbus, then he's doing a hell of a job. So, and especially if McEachern comes and wins that Bass Pro and he's the MVP, and then your boy, the killer of Kamenia, just goes and shuts him. That's a hell of a story, from that angle. So, I wanted to mention him. So those are great storylines. Again, some of the games, high school games can be fickle, Chelsea. You know how that is. They're always not good, but the storylines are what we're looking for, and to see who finishes strong, and it's going to be a big weekend for a lot of people.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me as well. Ani, did you want to end real quick? We kind of talked about it a little bit. Jalil Bathia, a few others. McDonald's, those picks will come out after that event. Obviously, we know 10 guys are in there. We probably know 15 guys are in there. Do you think anything's going to surprise you? Chelsea was kind of mentioning earlier today, like, is the game going to have the same vibe as the other year's games? Is it just going to be the Cooper Flag show? Is it going to be because there's a little bit more suspense about some of these young guys? There's no Bronny, Mikey Williams type guys that are going to get in. There's no social media darling. So it's more about the game. Is there going to be something different about this year's game?
McDonald's?
Yes. No.
I think last year set a tone from a competitive nature, and I think we're going to continue to see that.
Great.
I think we'll continue to see the boys really compete like that. Less all-star gaming and more basketball. You got some competitors in that 24 class. I think it's going to be good.
Great. And that will we don't have to go much into that because we'll talk about it more. But I think that leads into a good segment and a good show that we got to do next time. I think that was created because people hear like the Fran Fraschillas, other guys. I can't think the guy's name right now, but it's on social media. And he's like, yo, the NBA. Oh, it's the old coach from Notre Dame, Mike Bray. And he's saying, yo, the NBA is going to be half international in the next 10 years. So I think that kind of, in a roundabout way, indirect way, the players hear that, Ani. They're not stupid. You know what I mean? 100%. So it goes back to your point of DJ Wagner, Holland. Those guys want to compete and make the game better. And I think because the overall pictures, they're not on these draft boards. They don't see them all themselves just at the top of these draft boards no more. Yeah. You know what I mean? You see more sprinkled in guys that are playing in Australia, playing in other European leagues. And I think that's waking some people's eyes up a bit. So I think that's what we should talk about soon. Maybe get an expert in that field on just to talk about it a little bit about that. Especially if we'll see what happens, but how like the all NBA and this year's draft goes, is there going to be guys? Cause we talked about it before, the 223 class, not the wow kind of class. And maybe 224 isn't, maybe they'll get the memo. And maybe it'll start this weekend, with Hoophall and leading into that McDonald's selections and then the rest of the season. So, I think on that note, I think that will wrap us up. We appreciate everybody listening in on episode 176. I really enjoyed this pod. I really learned a lot from you guys and just talking. I'm not just saying that either. Just the things we talked about. It really helps, and I hope people get something out of it. But yeah, I'm really interested that. I want to get a high school player on the pod soon. Is really like, is he hearing that static, that noise? Like, yo, the Europeans are coming. The NBA teams like them more. I would like to get a kid's point of view. So yeah, we'll do that. So on that note, guys, for Ani, Umana, and Chelsea Hopkins, we're out of here, and we'll see you guys very soon.
Bye, guys.